everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at CoraQuest. CoraQuest, designed by Cora and Dan Hughes, and it says in the rulebook they were bored during the COVID lockdown and decided to make this game. Now, before we get into this review, this is a dungeon crawl where you go through and fight monsters. That's for kids, which makes sense since Dora is a kid and she and her dad helped put this together. But before we get into that, I want to be really clear that Dan and Cora have been contributors to the Dice Tower. They've been on our show for years. I consider Dan to be a friend. I think the world of him. He and Mike do a podcast. That's really fantastic. So realize that's where I'm coming from. This is I'm friends with lots of game designers, but this is a little different than most. So take whatever I say here with a grain of salt. But that being said, I do want to talk about this game. I played it with my son and other kids because I knew that they might like this. So let's take a look and see how it plays. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get their own character. So here are the 8 different characters that you get in the game. Each one has a special ability. They also have a certain number of hit points and a movement. You'll notice that there is some similarities. If you have only 3 movement, you have 10 hit points, and if you have 5 movement, you have 6 hit points. And in fact, the rulebook comes with an entire how to customize section, and you can go online and you can make your own character, and it tells you how to do it, and with your own special abilities. There's all kinds of things to do here, and you can even make your own enemies, etc. So if you're not happy with the characters in this game, although there is 8, and I've yet to play this game with kids who did not find someone they identified with, but you can go online and make your own. The game is going to revolve around a book of quests. So when you play a quest, this was Fangs for the Memories, the quest will tell you how to build a deck of cards. It will also tell you what enemies that happen. And then, so what's going to happen is you're going to have a deck of cards, and these cards are dungeon tiles. These dungeon tiles are going to be flipped over and connected, and you'll be forming a dungeon that players will go through. If it shows different symbols, that shows when enemies will appear in the tiles. If it shows treasure chest, that thing will happen. But some of the tiles have letters on them. You'll be shuffling these letters in. So for example, this is a letter D, and when that tile would show up, you would read this section here. Now they're stacked in order, A, B, C, D. They're in different sections of the deck. So when it comes, they're going to come out in a story mode here, and then you just read them and you follow through a story. And so you see that there's several: Easy, Cheesy, Lemon Squeezy, The Great Teapot Caper, Escape to Victory. Each of these also has a different final boss. Well, this one actually has the same final boss as the first one, but it tells you who all the different enemies are. And for example, if more stuff comes out, another boss or final boss for the game, then you just have a new adventure. But the adventure here is the main part of how players are going to progress through the game. On a player's turn, and players can take turns in any order, then the bad guys all move. But on a player's turn, they can take as many free actions as they want, which might be revealing a tile that you connect to the dungeon so that it fits, which also might trigger an event. And you also can use an item card. That's all free. But you have 2 normal actions. So one of your actions can be move, which is you move the squares that it mentions on your character card. You can also search a card with a treasure chest token on it. So when you reveal a card with a treasure chest token, like just was done there, of course there'll be some enemies that show up here too. But you'll take that off and you will draw the top card of a treasure deck and get whatever it says. Ooh, this is a Warhammer. That's pretty handy, especially if you want to collect miniatures. But anyhow, so that's moving. You can also, and searching, you can also trade item cards with someone else if they're on your card. You can revive somebody who is stunned, but you can also attack. Now, each player has a starting attack card, and it tells you what it is on their character card. For example, one character starts with the Morning Star card, and it shows you the range on the card. So this is, you hit someone who's adjacent to you. It shows you the value of the card. It shows you what color die it will use. This one uses a white die, which hits 2 out of 6 times. And then you will attack. Now when you attack, you'll add any dice on your character card. So in this case, for example, let's say I'm using the dwarf here. He would roll the white die plus a red die. And you're trying to get stars. Now if you miss, your character becomes determined. You turn them over, and the next time they roll, they're going to roll a red and white die plus their weapon. So you get an extra die, and once you hit, then this will turn back over to this side. The different bad guys in the game have different amounts of hit points that you'll need to defeat them. They will also move and attack you, and it shows their ranges. There also can be a tough version of them, which makes them slightly harder. And there's also, you know, the really big ones like Thunder McScruggins here. He's like one of the bosses that you might come across. There's also a countdown phase. So after the good guys go, and then the bad guys will move and attack like many of these games. There's a countdown phase. Now the countdown is 2 to 1, but it could be longer depending on the scenario. But usually when a player uses their special ability, so let's say for example, the halfling here decides to use a special ability, choose not to take any damage from an attack. Pretty handy. You put your token here, and then this will move down. This will move on here, down, and off. And when it moves off, you can then use your special ability again. So this keeps you from using your special ability every turn. Now that's a few basic things about the game. There's a little bit more involved. There's, like I said, treasure. There's special things you can find. But that gives you hopefully a basic idea of how the game works. You go through the hero phase and do your different actions, and then the enemy phase, then the countdown phase. And I should mention that if you don't explore things every turn, if at least one person doesn't find stuff, then spiders will show up in the game and run around and be added to the board. So it keeps you moving rather than just slowly meandering around the dungeon. One of the things I really like about this game is the art. Now you might be wondering, really? And that's because the art in this game was all drawn by children. They all sent in different art pieces, and then the actual artist of the game took what the kids did and changed it into these monsters, which is really fun. My son did one, which is a promo card that we have for this game in Dice Tower Kickstarter, and when I wish I had recorded his face when he saw how it changed from what he drew into the monsters that are here. He loved it, and the kids loved it. All the kids have loved it so far. It has been a fantastic thing. And that truly makes this a collaborative effort from kids for kids, but with adults involved to make sure that there's quality. And I mean, in all the different pieces, the dice, and the different stand-up characters, and it all fits in a pretty small box for a very reasonable price. I like this. This is one of those things that when you see it, just brings you joy. Okay, I'm going to pause here in the middle of the review to get Jimmy's opinion on this. Jimmy, how old are you?
7.
Yep, almost 8 actually. And Jimmy and I played CoraQuest together. We both went through with some heroes. We fought monsters. Did you like the game, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah? What'd you like about it? Did you like the monsters? Did you like rolling the dice? Did you like the heroes? Did you like the cards?
I like the treasures.
Yeah, you did like the treasure. You get all the new treasure, and you always took the treasure before I could get it.
Yeah.
Did you like fighting the monsters by rolling dice?
Yeah.
Your guy got to fight.
But I actually like that this potion that you can make yourself mad and roll 3 dice.
Oh, yeah. So when we played the determined, I told him we were getting angry instead of determined. So you get to roll the extra die. And you liked rolling 3 dice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the snake gets to roll 3 dice at a time for each turn for him.
Snake was hard to kill?
All of my guys were actually trying to kill the snake.
Yeah, so you really liked this game. We had a good time playing together and the pieces. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the game. Jimmy, thanks for coming on the show. So I have 2 problems with the game here, but they're minor problems, but I do want to mention them. The first here is the game says 6+. That is technically true. But Well, I know that, whenever I say something like this, I'll get many comments in the YouTube. My kid had no problem with this game. Oh, no problem. It's kind of pushing it for 6. Now, a 6-year-old, 7-year-old can play this with an adult, but the adult, there's a lot of reading in the game. 6-year-old may not be able to read completely yet. There's the idea of you need to turn over a card or enemies will appear, that time pressure, and the special ability countdown track. And just, there's a bunch of little rules in the game that 6, 7, maybe even 8-year-olds are not quite going to grasp, except for, of course, your gifted one. I get why that's there, but I just want you to be warned in this game is me and my son had a blast playing it, but even though we played it a lot, I don't think I could hand them the game and play it like I've done with many other children's games. This is more of a family game than a kid's game, although if you have some 9, 10, 11-year-olds, they're going to be able to go play this with no problem at all. But you do need to have some good reading and comprehension and understanding of some of the different rules in this game to get into it. Secondly, the game is not particularly inspired. Now, that's not a bad thing, but everything in this game, like the cooldown track, is from Funkoverse, and if you don't move, stuff happens in a lot of dungeon crawlers, and even the rolling of dice. The game is incredibly random. The red die you hit 50% of the time, and the white die you hit 33% of the time. The being determined when you miss is a great thing, as you saw Jimmy like that a lot. And, we got into that. But it's a lucky, fun dice thing for kids. But that's the point here. It's for kids. And it's a good game for kids. And it's a game that I recommend for kids. I know that, again, I'm afraid I'll read some comments like, oh, yeah, well, you can play this with adults. No. There's like 80 other dungeon crawls that I'll play with adults. But if I'm playing with kids, this is one I want to play with them because it's kind of a beginner, but has some somewhat advanced concepts in it, has a lot of variety in it, and kids feel, because of the way it's made and designed, that it was made for them. And I like that a lot. You ever see that cartoon, that's for kids, but clearly was made by adults for other adults, or was made by adults for kids because they think that's what kids want? I never understand that. This was made by someone for kids who know what kids want. The art is an astounding thing to me. I just am so pleased by that, how they managed to do that. It's just a neat concept. And the gameplay itself is just simple and fun. And the stories, I should mention that, they're funny stories. The kids are going to laugh at them because they're silly. You go in there and everyone likes fighting the goblins and the things, and you get into it rolling the dice. It's a neat concept. So, there's a lot more involved in it than that, but hopefully that's enough to give you an idea if you'd like it or not. That's CoraQuest. I'm Tom Vasel. You already saw Jimmy, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment approved!